everybody, Brickhouse here, and we are just one day away from MadameWeb, the movie that most of us think is going to be worse than Morbius at the box office. Reviews are out. Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes, going to go over some of these reviews. Yeah, we'll just say it's not looking too good for the Spider-Man spinoff that doesn't have Spider-Man in it. So, from that Park Place, John Trent, reviews are coming in for Sony Pictures' upcoming MadameWeb, and the critics are not fans to say the least. So, Metacritic score, 31. Who's the one person that had a positive review on Metacritic? I mean, granted, there's only 8 reviews, but really, one person? So here's the early reviewers, or the early reviews from Metacritic. Alonzo Duradale at That Film Verdict gave the movie a 62. He wrote, "None of this would work without Johnson, whose gift for side-eye and deadpan line readings grounds what could be a very silly story into one with real human stakes that do not, thankfully, involve the fate of the entire world." Whitney Seibold at Slash Film gave the movie a 60. MadameWeb does not provide a crowd-pleasing bombast. This is a pity, as this old duck makes for a fascinating watch. This may be one of the final films of the superhero renaissance. Enjoy it before it topples over entirely. Nick Schrager, The Daily Beast, gave the film a 40. On the basis of MadameWeb, however, Sony's Spider-Man universe is now completely lifeless and no need of resuscitation. David Ehrlich, IndieWire, gave it a 33. An inoffensive, almost endearingly lame whiff of a movie that has the misfortune of arriving at a time when the superhero genre has almost returned to pre-MCU levels of popularity. This Daredevil-ass disaster is hilariously retrograde for a story about someone who discovers that she can see a few seconds into the future. Remember, MadameWeb isn't a young woman. MadameWeb is an old woman who's blind and has the ability to see things. In fact, if I remember correctly, she can see not only the future, the present, but also into the past. Manuel Betancourt, AV Club, gave the film a 25. The film is often so hurried and so preoccupied with what's to come that it ignores what's happening in the moment. And Barry Hertz at the Globe and Mail gave the film a 0. Stupendously stupid and never remotely in control of its faculties, the film represents a kind of weaponized incompetence, hostile and assaultive. IGN gave the film a 50. Okay. MadameWeb has the makings of an interesting superhero psychological thriller, but with a script overcrowded with extemporaneous characters, basic archetypes, and generic dialogue. It fails the talent and the future of his on-screen Spider-Women. Screen Rant gave it a 30. Molly Freeman, MadameWeb is boring, unimaginative, and dated, despite being one of the very few superhero movies centering on female superheroes. All in all, MadameWeb is a superhero movie you can absolutely skip. So, ouch. These poor reviews are unlikely to aid the film's box office performance. Originally, Box Office Pro predicted the film would only gross between 25 and 35 million on its opening weekend at domestic theaters. The outlet went on to claim its entire domestic run would only gross between 56 and 101 million. Put that in perspective, it's worse than Morbius. Didn't think anything could be worse than Morbius. I haven't even seen Morbius. I even bothered to watch it streaming because I'm so that disinterested in Morbius. The Jared Leto film had an opening weekend of 39 million and went on to gross 73.8 million at the domestic box office on its entire run. Add another 88.8 million internationally for a global gross of 162.7 million. With the initial predictions already terrible, Box Office Pro's latest projections are even worse. On February 8th, the outlet noted that it believes the film will only gross between 15 and 24 million its opening weekend. Furthermore, it shared that the entire domestic haul will end up being between 42 and 78 million. For all intents and purposes, it looks like MadameWeb is not only a terrible film, but it performed terribly at the box office as well. Now, just for a side note here, let's look at Rotten Tomatoes real quick. We back up a step. 22 on the tomato meter. That's all critics. Top critics has got a 14. 2 people found it fresh. Top critics, 9 in all critics. Now, what's funny is the people that found it fresh. MadameWeb is not the unmitigated disaster that its clunky trailer or its calendar spot in February would suggest. Ouch. Yeah, it is an unmitigated disaster. If they would have stuck to the source material, it probably could have been better. Remember Spider-Man, the animated series in the 90s? How MadameWeb was integrated into that? And how MadameWeb was used perfectly within that series, from what I can remember? It's not going to reverse its ongoing decline of superhero cinema, but unlike some of its notable contemporaries, it's strong enough to make its intended sequels feel like promises rather than threats. No, there will not be sequels to this. It's going to do so bad they are not going to greenlight a sequel. Not going to happen. Oh, look at that. Rachel Leischman from the Mary Sue. Filled with the cheesy dialogue that you were used to in comics, MadameWeb recognizes the origin that it's trying to tell. Really, Rachel? Really? I expect that from the Mary Sue. I fully expect that from the Mary Sue. So, there you go. A few of the critics, both positive and negative. There's more negative than positive. As it pertains to MadameWeb, which is going to be released tomorrow, Valentine's Day. Who's going to go see it? Comment down below. Better yet, what do you think of the early reviews? You think it's going to push the needle one way or the other? I think the early reviews are going to push the needle to a direction where it's not going to be received well at the box office. We'll put it that way. While you're commenting, please take the time to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. And with that, I will see you guys later.